A good example of the importance of treating the whole person, body, mind, emotion, and spirit, is how high-quality personal relationships improve survival in women with breast cancer. Now, this is closely related to the work that Dr. David Spiegel started in 1989, where he showed that support groups, where people are encouraged to express their feelings, can actually live longer and happier lives with less pain. And these are people that have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. So this is pretty powerful information.
Right. And it's interesting that David Spiegel's work was done in 1989, and it was really based on his single-handed approach to look into whether or not adjunctive kinds of treatment that support how we feel make a difference in our outcome. And quite frankly, he admitted that he didn't think it would make much difference, and he wanted to do the study to show that, in fact, that was not the case. But to his surprise, he had 50 women who were in the treatment group and 37 women who were in the placebo group, and they all had advanced stage 4 cancer, as Vicki was saying, and they were expected to live about 18 months. Well, the placebo group lived exactly 18 months on the whole, and the group that got the support with hypnotherapy lived 36 months. So this was all really positive stuff, but what actually happened is his study couldn't be reproduced regularly. There were a few that were reproduced, so it left us a little bit up in the air as to whether or not this is really true.
I think one of the things that this points out that's so important is the importance of family support and communication and community support and religious ties and all of that, because people need to be able to express their feelings. And many times with family, people kind of hold back because they don't want their family to feel bad or to maybe know what they really feel. Whereas with these support groups, the people were encouraged to express their inner feelings.
Yeah, they all had
and they would laugh and cry together and go through all that. But it was making me think about how it's good in relationships anyway if people can show their vulnerability.
Oh, for
and
sure.
maybe it would make them closer with their family if they
it does.
would express what they're really feeling instead of trying to stuff it.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so this study was done at Kaiser, okay? Was done on women who had stage 1 to stage 2 cancer, which means they had either a localized cancer or they had a few positive lymph nodes in the axilla. They were studied for 11 years, and what they found is that the women who had social support groups that were good really did a lot better. They lived longer. Those that were socially isolated had about a 34% increased death rate, and those with small networks that weren't big, just really small ones who didn't have support, were about 61% more likely to die at the end of that period.
I remember not long ago we were reporting on a study that had to do with prostate cancer that Dean Ornish did, and it had some similarities to this where the men were
I would say that
group.
Dr. Ornish took it to another level that was beyond what this study did. He looked really at the epigenetics, or the factors that affect our genes when we have early stage prostate cancer that can be safely followed for a few months. And what he did is he had one group where, well, he biopsied them all first at the start of the study. One group, he didn't do anything else except rebiopsy them 3 months later. And they showed that the 500 oncogenes that they measured were still turned on. So those cancer genes were still active and still doing their job to make the cancer progress. The other group did things like this. They had worked on diet and exercise and stress reduction. They had group support. And at the end of 3 months, that group was rebiopsied, and the oncogenes, those cancer genes, most of them were turned off. So what we have here is a study that really puts a lot more of it together to give us an idea of how important it is to go through this with support, to have family and friends, and to be able to talk with other people who have the same condition you do and kind of hang together.
And it's also good to have hope. You know, the other thing is that sometimes studies have shown that breast cancers can just disappear, and it seems like on their own. And this is where I think it's important to have hope and to know that maybe
That's
some of these
possible.
things
Sure.
could be effective. And like I said when we started out about the connection of body, mind, emotion, and spirit, because we're all one, and all these different parts of our all one can affect the other parts, you know?
Right.
So our emotions can affect our physical.
Oh, they're inseparable. We look at a human being as one thing that has several perspectives, not a bunch of pieces that are put together like a clock. So we look at high-quality relationships. They definitely improve cancer survival, and it's worth doing that along with all the other things that we can do both in mainstream and complementary and alternative medicine if we want to get the best outcome.